Kathy and I both grew up in families that lived relatively simply, and in those days, 40, 50 years ago, if something broke, you tried to repair it and you didn't rush off to the shop to get another one. In India, that was kind of reinforced to us really, where a lot of the people we were living with were really quite poor and they couldn't afford to go out and buy another fridge or another washing machine, or if it broke. So in India, people are great at using what they've got and just use things right through to the end of their lives. So that's what we're trying to do here in Australia. So this drawer doesn't quite go all the way in. It's sticking. So I figure it's sticking at this spot here. Maybe the wood's expanded or something like that, and it's just not quite going all the way in. So I figure if I just take off a bit here and maybe from here, it should be able to go in better. So I'll just take the drawer out, able to shave off a little bit. We've found that a lot of things actually you can repair. I've got a few carpentry skills, a few tools, and I can repair wooden things. And you get a lot of satisfaction out of fixing something. It's not working and I've done something to it and now it is. It feels pretty good. And the more you repair things, the better you get at it, really. Of course, sometimes you need to take it to a professional and that's fine. Plain hand soap, it kind of just lubricates it a little bit. So I just put a little bit of normal hand soap down there on each side. Sometimes we figure we do actually need something for our family, something that we haven't got. And so, for example, we need a vacuum cleaner. We've got a bit of carpet, we need to vacuum it from time to time. The first process for us is to think, can we borrow this thing, rather than purchase it at all? And it turns out that I text my neighbour and say, hey, have you got a vacuum cleaner? And he says, yeah, sure. Feel free to borrow it. So we borrow the vacuum cleaner. And that goes the other way too, so it's reciprocal. So for example, Kathy has a sewing machine. Not everybody has a sewing machine. You don't need a sewing machine every day. So sometimes when people need to repair something, they come around here, use Kathy's, or take it to their place.
I mended this last week. I did quite a good job, but now it's got a new tear in it this morning. This is the sewing machine I bought for my 18th birthday. When I left my country town and went to university in the big city, I survived 1 year without a sewing machine. Then I bought one. So it was kind of top of the line then, but it's pretty old-fashioned now. There's a lot you can do with a little bit of hand stitching to fix things. Yeah. I don't know, you can probably YouTube it these days. I've never done that. All fixed, ready for tomorrow. It is really wearing out, but it can last a bit longer.
Lending things to each other for not high-use items is a great idea. But for items that you use more often, like, for example, you use a laptop every day, then of course you can't be borrowing those things every day. So what we do then is we try to purchase it secondhand so that it doesn't involve the carbon footprint of making something new. Sometimes you just can't buy something secondhand, it's just not available. So for example, when we needed a dustpan, well, we couldn't find one that was secondhand, we had to buy something that was new. So what we do in that instance is we look around and we try to buy something that's manufactured in Australia, so it doesn't have the carbon footprint of bringing it all the way from China, and something that's of reasonable quality that's going to last for a number of years. You can buy a dustpan that's going to last you 6 months and then it'll break and then you throw it out. So we spent perhaps double the money that you'd spend on a cheap one to buy a reasonable quality one in the hope that it's going to last for 5 years. And over on that side. And then, all going well, our drawer's going to go in all the way. Beautiful, not sticking at all.